I'm stuck in my bed. I'm not tired, I'm trying to find out what's wrong. Time has passed on without a call. It feels too weird to ring up. I had cashed out by feeling love. Too soon to care, to keep up. I'm so far up in hush, ignored for a reason. So hard to please, a state of mind. I'm trying, I'm in no rush. So hard to please, a state of mind. I've been out falling in touch.
All right, guys. Well, it might seem a little bit lonely. That's because it is Ian is indisposed, and Corvus is still out. So, in fact, you are just stuck with me for tonight. It's Stony Brook University versus the University of North Texas. This is the C-Star League playoffs for junior varsity. Of course, that means that we've got some fantastic games coming your way. First, we're going to introduce Stony Brook University. By we, I mean me, of course. CISBU has had a quite fantastic season so far. They've done some very, very clean work in the preseason. 5-1. They did drop a single game to Finger Lakes Common College. Spring record, though, right? They didn't make it in directly to the playoffs. They had to go through, and they kind of dispatched that rather quickly. It was a 4-0 victory. Playoffs so far, they haven't dropped a single game. Round of 32, however, might prove to be a little bit different. University of North Texas Junior Varsity are up against them, and this team as well, right? Round of 32 is a little bit of a different story, right? They did actually go 6-1 versus the 5-1 of the side of SBU, but in the Winter Invitational, they went out in the round of 32, first round against UC Davis, and instead they had to go through UOIT and then the Boston Apes in Capes. They did not make it to spring playoffs directly. Correction. Remember that. Correction. It is directly to spring playoffs. And then on the side of North Texas, they did, right? Straight to spring playoffs. They went in, got their round of 128, round of 64. Of course, they've got themselves a little bit of a challenge, I would say. Stony Brook is known for some strong teams over the years. They're not, absolutely number one, but they're always competitive. And so Texas is going to have the work cut out for them. If you're looking to see some good League of Legends action, though, we're going to roll right into the pick and ban phase very shortly because we have the games coming at you real quick here. The pauses that would normally be filled with Corvus are me taking breaths now instead. So into the pick and ban phase we go. Best Ramus. Karudzik Storm, I like that name actually. I like Pi and KKGBYN Inhya make up the Stony Brook University roster, while the University of North Texas, of course. Vet Dude in that top lane, Elcan in the jungle. Luxion at mid, Hayer at AD carry, and Rainy is his support. The ban's coming a little bit of an expected ban, I would say. When you remove the Thresh off the table, you know that it's super, super good as a first round response pick. Because of that, right, they're going to actually ban Lucian out, which was another pick that's extremely contested, I would say, at the AD carry position. It's one of those 3 picks that you can still really play. The Ezreal's one of them, the Lucian's one of them, and people have been experimenting a little bit with AD. Nico actually just got a hot nerf as well. This was before Nico nerf, though, so we could expect to see that champion potentially. The Jarvan has made some waves, and banning away the namesake champion in the Kha'Zix is going to be, I think, a pretty good idea. If you want to take out any champion, right, generally you remove the one that's actually in their name, but failing that, right, taking the Ezreal away, SBU, going to make their first pick well known in the Ashe. This is a little bit of a throwback pick. We haven't seen Ashe for quite some time in terms of actual competitive play, except for when Caitlyn was starting to get good, right? When Caitlyn made some waves, Ashe, the perennial Caitlyn counter pick, came back into the meta. Against Ezreal, it's not the worst pick in the world. It gets pretty good zoning, it's got great range, it's got decent poke and trading potential, especially in the early game where Ezreal often does suffer. He needs a couple items to get rolling. He gets those items very quickly, but in the super early game, you definitely want something to buoy him, and that's the reason they pick up the Karma. Support Karma is pretty much the best pushing or shoving support that you can get, right? The AoE damage, the actual burst it has, it's all compensating for the fact that Ezreal really doesn't take waves very quickly, and so taking that probably is going to allow them to do at least decently against anything University of Texas can bring to bear, but it might be exploitable, right? The question is, how well does the Karma actually scale? Does the Karma scale well enough into the late game to make the Ezreal safe? We don't know. There's a huge tank line as well. The Ezreal going to have to do a lot of damage to shred through Sejuani and Nautilus, but he's got a Kled to help him. It's a pretty good champion for chasing down some choice picks, maybe even that Ashe that is so prominent in their composition so far.
Controls them.
Kane there, looking for a little bit maybe, probably somewhat of jungle focus, I guess, from the side of UNT, given that they've already banned 2 jungles on the end of this. They have their jungler. All they really need to do is kind of lock down the remainder of the champions, but they're going to go for a Lissandra removal instead, potentially hinting at some kind of an immobile mage in that mid lane, or maybe the Nautilus just not wanting to deal with it, right? He's a very, very, I would say, stuck champion, right? A lot of the times when you want to get in, you have to throw Q or you have to throw R. If your depth charge does hit somebody, a lot of the times they've made it back into their team, so you can't even engage on them. Especially when there's Lissandra to prison you, right? To prison you, or the Sejuani going in. You don't really want to deal with it. I guess Aatrox is going to signify this is a bot lane Nautilus. In fact, top lane was the other flex he could be. It hasn't been seen flex top very often, but it was a possibility. But SVU, they've got one of the most broken champs. Hovered right here, right now. The Vladimir basically has, I would say, the most consistent path to winning a game of any top laner in the current meta, right? He's always getting those damage. He's always getting picks. He's always getting, burst. He can 1v3, as we saw. I don't know if you watched the Shy in LPL recently. He did some fantastic work on it, but the Nunu pickup is going to have to do some serious work for SBU, right? He's going to need to be playing... Actually, it's Vladimir mid. Okay, so Vlad mid, still a very good pick. With the Zoe banned out, it's his one really big counter, I would say, because of the fact that Vladimir has to get pretty close range. Zoe doesn't really let you get close range, so they take that off the table. The Lux will be selected for Luxion. Now, go wonder about that one, but we'll have to see if he can actually make this champion do what needs to be done, right? I like Pi is certainly a very good player, but he's got his work cut out for him. In order to actually bully the Lux, he's going to need maybe some jungle assistance or a slip up on the part of Luxion, just because of the range disadvantage he's at, right? This is a very, very difficult matchup for him. Kled into Aatrox, though, that's more of a skill matchup, right? If Vet Dude messes up, if Best Rammus gets a pick, or he messes up in turn, this top lane can swing quite violently. So we'll have to see where these junglers are actually going to prioritize. Bot lane, that's a little bit more set in stone. I don't think we're going to see much jungle action bot, just because of the fact that this is a lane where Ezreal Karma should be able to shove in and then walk away. Shove in, walk away. There should be no attempt for the Sejuani to get in, and no reason for Karud to actually walk down. As the draft times out, of course, we're going to be switching into game very shortly, so bear with us while that happens, but yeah, these two teams, I am liking the mid lane pickup, and specifically the bot lane from SBU, but when you compare that to the jungle and top lane, right, the Sejuani, the Aatrox, these have been quite consistent, I would say, in terms of the games that we've seen. The Sejuani has been a relatively fantastic jungler in all levels of play. The Aatrox, a lot more skill-based, of course. So we'll have to see if the University of North Texas has what it takes, or if SBU are going to take this game number 1. Remember, this is a best of 3 series for the round of 32. Losers will go down into the lower bracket, not out of the tournament. It's not in the elimination spot, but we'll have to see who comes out on top. Very clustered rush, maybe an invade Nautilus. Functions like a pseudo Blitzcrank or a Thresh. The Thresh was banned out from Rainy, so potentially trying to avoid this sort of a scenario, but a very interesting path will have to be taken. They'll get spotted by the ward 100% though. That's the real problem. Yeah, there's absolutely no way they get a pick here after they're spotted by that ward. Can't know it, of course. Gonna follow out the path as they have set it. Vladimir should get a response ward into their red, be able to track the Sejuani a little bit better. Unless this Ezreal sticks around a bit too long, that's just not going to be the case. Missing a little bit of the usual tit for tat that we have on the stream, but we'll make do. We'll make do because I like Pi. He's gotten that ward that we mentioned earlier, right? Tracking the Sejuani, super, super critical in keeping that top lane alive, I would say, right? If the Kled gets ganked, no teleport, he goes down, he dies for it, he has to walk a very, very long way back to top lane. He can miss quite a bit of experience, quite a bit of time that he would rather be, obviously just applying pressure. He wants to be forcing the Aatrox to play around him. He wants to be getting solo kills. He has the Ignite after all, right? He really, really needs a solo kill after taking the Summoner because they're both kind of split push champions. The Aatrox can contribute to the fight. The Kled can roll in with his ultimate. It's not a guaranteed split push, but if it gets to that scenario, right, the Aatrox is always going to be better off. He's got that teleport. He's going to be able to get back into the fights. And for that reason, we're expecting Bex Rammus to really try to pressure this lane out, really try to get some of that early pressure, early advantage. If he doesn't, could be a little bit worrisome. UNT still taking this very slow. The Karma not shoving out as much as we'd expect, I would say, but it is still very early, only about the third wave in. Now it should start to speed up slightly, right? Once you have the cannons, discrepancies in wave pushing power often come much more quickly. Neither one has dematerializer, nor would it be up at this point if they did. So the cannons are going to go down naturally, and in fact it's going to rebound back towards the side of SBU, getting pushed into their, back half of the lane, not necessarily their turret yet. The second wave that comes, this will push them into their turret for sure, right? They're going to have to really try to clear this out unless they want a huge rebound and then UNT to have most likely CS advantage going forwards. Trading in the mid lane. Still nothing that's... Oh, maybe the hook lands, but so close. KK, he's away from it, gets the shift out, and keeps himself alive, right? This Ezreal, if he were to go down early, that would be an absolute travesty because they do need him to be scaling. They need some damage threats into this mid game. They can't just have the Vladimir. They can't just say, okay, you're 1 versus 9ing, go do it, right? Certainly there are champs that can do it. Vladimir, he might be one of them in the right hands, but you don't want to get into that scenario. You have damage, you have a pretty good composition. You need to play it out like as you would have it ideally, right? You need to have the Ezreal scaling, you need to have the Kled pushing, all these things need to happen. Of course, the side of UNT, they have a Lux. They want the Lux to get combos, they want to fight in team scenarios, they have 2 very good backliners, but now the Lux is found in the front line, caught out by the Nunu, flashes away, has to barrier as well, and now the turn comes. They have Elcan into this lane, so close, the Vladimir flashes for the first blood, and Elcan, he does get the return to heal onto Kha'Zix Karut Zixstorm, but can he find the Vladimir? This is the hard kill, and with that pool, he will have enough time to charge up that Fury, get the Blood Rage, and scare off the Sejuani 1-for-1 trade, still in the favor of SBU, not just because of the advantage gained, right? Mid laner gets the kill instead of jungler, but because of the fact that now they have more time, right? They've got CS leads already growing in the bottom lane because of the pushing sides, and when the mid laner is ahead, right? This Vladimir is going to get even scarier. Hook lands, a little bit of damage, not enough to really matter. Rainy, he gets some good, CC, but you take a look at Kayr's health, he can't really aggress in, he can't really respond. The W, his scatter is about the best thing he can do to poke out right now without exposing himself to a very easy potential death, right? Ish has the Ignite, they are pushing up, they're shoving it in. If Kayr steps out of line one time, he will go down. The heal is still very, very little amounts of HP at this point, and so he's going to have to position quite well, but again, the Nunu's in the mid lane. No flash and Lux this time, but also no follow-up. The Vladimir's way too far back, but we see the poke finally coming out at the right time. The Ignite goes down, and that is not the Ignite that we expected. We expected Ish to be thrown down in that Ignite. Instead, it is actually Rainy who goes for it. UNT aggressing back into this lane, and they still have damage to boot. Maybe not as much damage though, right? Now that they're out down the Ignite and down heal, they have no combat summoners left. Ezreal also down his heal, but they have an Ignite. SBU going to look to engage if they stay. Yeah, I think this is the right call. To back off to go back, get some items, recall. Great timing on the recall as well, right? They are setting this up for a perfect pushback, and the only thing that SBU can do is just try to hard shove it in, but they might get a couple minions in. The problem still is, right, the CS lead is still slowly growing for the Ezreal. It was a very good wave to shove in and back on, timing-wise, but the problem is the Ashe is still down CS. You know, you want to see her at least going even, but Vet Dude might be in a lot more trouble. He's worried not about going even, but about dying to Best Rammus in the solo kill. Doesn't want to pop his ultimate, still baiting that out. But Best Rammus, I mean, he also has the Ignite. Remember that. The health regained, if the Ignite ever actually is used, is going to be so low that he could be susceptible to even a turret dive, especially with a wave this large. The damage should start racking up soon. Sejuani's in the top side though, so expect there to be some kind of response if he goes for this dive. Nunu pinged out. They finally know his pathing. But do they know that Sejuani is here? The ultimate's already been used, but that might be too little too late. In fact, Best Rammus is stunned up now, and he's going to get recalled into the center, brought down by Elcan. A beautiful coordinated gank, baiting him into taking that fight. He knew that he wouldn't get the Aatrox kill, but he didn't know the Sejuani was there. Plays too aggressive, pays for it with his life. The second kill for UNT still hasn't equalized the gold though, so they're going to look for some plating, try to get this gold back in their favor. What a play it really was. I mean, you want to talk about exploiting a known weakness, right? Best Rammus, he's been shoving for so long, trying to take so many fights with Vet. At some point you say, okay, you know, we know he's going to keep going for this, and they did, right? They said, okay, he's going to keep going for this, bring the Sedge up. Second, and 100% right now, kills onto Elcan for UNT. He's been instrumental in all of them. If he's not in the right spot though, right? Let's say this bot lane gets dove, things are going to be really difficult because University of North Texas so far have relied on their macro. They've relied on the fact that they've had the rotation, the counter gank. You know, even if they did lose first blood, it wasn't like they hard lost first. You know, they traded the kill out. They did get the jungler off the map for a little bit, but now they are still down CS, right? They're down CS in nearly every lane, in fact. Bar support, and that's because of the relic shield. So yes, they are in fact down CS every lane. 73, 73, 62 makes about 1,000 gold advantage. We're looking at about 800 on the board because of assists and kills traded back and forth, stun lands, and now the Nautilus hook comes in. So does that Ashel, and they get themselves a very quick kill into Inya. Without him, I don't know if SBU really want to turn around. In fact, they do get turned on by Luxion. Huge ultimate from him. I mean, that's probably going to be at least 2 or 3 plates. I'm not sure what Ezreal can really do to clear this. With another wave coming in, you'd have to expect them to look for another dive. And they're going to shove him off the turret. In fact, 2 plates should be very expected, maybe 3 going down to even out this gold differential. At 2, they are going to stop and back away though. And that calls into mind maybe the dragon, right? To recall, get early priority onto the dragon, try to focus up towards there. But at the same time, you would think, you could also go for dragon here, right? And then they actually don't ward it. So that would have been a pretty free Drake, not taken by either team. Still on the map though. That means we're just waiting, right? Will this be... Ooh, I like Pi taking a little bit of trade damage, right? He is up a level on that Vladimir. He stayed in mid lane while the Lux Roam got an even bigger CS lead. 30 CS is like 2 kills, so he's up right around 700-800 gold. And Nunu, though, another gank from him, successful in the snowball, but will he be successful in the chase? The answer is no. They have to let the Aatrox go, but not before they burned his ultimate. So he is going to be vulnerable the next time that Nunu literally rolls around the corner. Junglers pressing towards this Drake. We mentioned it earlier, and it will still be taken. UNT not really finding much in the way of contest. Vet Dude so low, and the Ignite will burn him down. We mentioned that Combat Summoner. It does make a huge difference there. He goes and is completely dispatched by Best Rammus. Okay, to go ahead and keep pushing in that top lane. In fact, he is up 40 CS. He's about to be up a bunch more plates, but the hook lands. The Sejuani ultimate follows it in. Kair has another kill to his name, but will they want to chase again? Remember, this is the problem. They get these kills, but they aren't getting the objectives. The wave isn't there to support it, and they aren't going to get this plate. They're going to have to wait for another thing to roll around. Luxion, now he's the one in a tremendous amount of trouble with that ultimate triggering. It's going to get blocked by barrier, though, and that keeps him alive for now. Kair trading back and forth. KK flashing forward. I like pie. What a play to get that flash kill and the first turret as well. SBU are answering back in a big way. They've gotten their objectives. Even though there's been so much pressure towards this bot side, the turret still stood strong. So instead, the response came on the top side. The Nunu showed up. The Kled had already gotten the kill. And so they just take the turret. Great shot by them and SBU in general to really respond to all of this pressure. And the fact that they've kind of been getting out macroed a little, you know? It doesn't matter that you're getting out macroed when you're up this much CS. You know, you have a bunch of CS, you have a huge lead, 2k, off of just basically a turret, plates, and that CS advantage. Time, maybe not enough time though, to respond with Rift Herald, right? University of North Texas, they have themselves the Drake. I'd have to imagine that they want the Rift because they haven't been able to crack many turrets, right? Their siege is a little bit low. They don't really have pressure towards the top side after that Aatrox has gone down once. So the Rift Herald would definitely help them get the side lane back in their favor. The problem is, look at where the wave is top, right? Kled is just farming for free basically at neutral wave. He's not having to overextend. He's not having to push super far. When he does, though, it's after the pressure is gone. Aatrox stops being up there. He doesn't actually know where the Sejuani is, really, but he's not really worried about it, I guess. I mean, that would be my big worry. If you're talking about, oh, almost an ultimate catch onto the Vladimir. Protobelt's out of the scenario, though. He doesn't actually have to pay for his, you know, getting caught by that binding, right? Most champions in that mid lane would be super worried about getting bound, but Vladimir has pool. He doesn't really have to worry too much. Combo still almost lands, but this should be the first turret for the side. Nope, not the first turret. Hold that thought, because after all, there is so few minions for them to work with, right? This has been the continuous problem in the bot side for UNT. They haven't had minions to actually pressure in at all this game. And that's really been a problem because they just shoving them in dry, right? They just walk the minions in, then they push for the turret, and they walk the minions in, and they push for the turret. So if they don't actually build 1 or 2 waves, right? Let the minions sit at neutral, build 1.5 to 2 waves, and then allow it to push in, right? So you have a little bit of a buffer, and you can actually crash against the turret. They aren't going to get much purchase, and you see it right now. They aren't getting much done in that bottom lane. So still a little bit far behind in the gold scenario because they can't find objectives off of all this kill pressure that they've gained. Another attempt on the mid laner. Luxion very, very low in HP after only 2 spells went off. Protobelt admittedly does help a lot with that burst, but this is still not exactly a walk in the park. Missing that hook, but landing the root. Goes for the ultimate. Stopwatch is burned. Inya is in a lot of trouble, and it might be his 3rd death. The W finish him off, and they have to block now for Vet Dude in the top lane. They're finding themselves all pressured across the map. He flashes out, but the Ignite is starting to tick down. Will it be enough to burn him out? I don't think so. He should live by 1 tick. That will be the case. Vladimir, he's rooted up, he's stunned up, he's shut down by Luxion, and now they have to contend with even more members. The pullback lands, but Karud Sixstorm, he's taking so many turret shots, it just doesn't matter, and what looked like such a good engage on the side of SPU turns into a rout for UNT. Great kills by them for the one, actually, the none that they got, because that Aatrox still lived through it. They lose a kill on the bot side, they lose 2 on the top side, everything goes wrong. And now, maybe they can capitalize further, right? This is UNT. Now they have an advantage across the map. They've got a bunch more kills. The gold is finally shifted into their favor. They can definitely look to respond with another dragon, then the Rift Herald, then some turrets, right? They have neutral pressure now. They have they've shown they can actually win fights in the 3 versus 3 and the 2 versus 2 scenarios. Keep the map split like that. and just force the objectives, force this Drake down, take that, and with the Rift Herald, right, it's pretty much a guaranteed single tower. The problem is, can you get 2 out of it? If they can get a pick before they drop it, if they can get 2 picks before they drop it, absolutely. 1 pick, it's like a 50-50 scenario. Maybe they get it, maybe they don't. Here's going to be a try for the steal, but against the Sejuani Smite, it's just so unlikely. Ashe actually got it, so there was a chance there. Definitely could have happened. Now with the Nunu rolling in, the fight breaks out in earnest, but the side of UNT seems to be winning it again, and they're going to have to try and turn this around. SBU, even with the Vladimir, even with all of his healing, he is not going to make much of a difference into this one, and so they will all get chased down in turn. Kayer, be careful with your health bar, my friend. Double kill for him. Stays alive. And KKG might be a little bit too far out. He decides that might be the case as well. Backs out. No kills given over again by UNT. This is looking like they're starting to get a hang of this game and a strong hold on the gold, because now they have 1.2k in their favor. They've got their second Drake, stacking up for the potential Elder at some point. But more importantly, some neutral objectives are finally going their way. They're finally converting these kills into actual map pressure. And that's what they hadn't been able to do beforehand. So if they're able to keep this up, they can absolutely start hitting the map. The question is, does SBU respond in time? Ezreal's on 2 items. He's got some great pressure. The Vladimir does as well, though. So we'll have to see who comes down first. Sejuani, he wanted an ultimate, but doesn't want to throw it at an Ezreal with flash up. Kayer's in the top lane. We're just kind of waiting, right? Waiting for another dive, maybe. Elcan's up here, Brainy as well. They don't want to go for the Vladimir, though, because there's no need, right? He can't really defend the turret, so he's just going to wait. Unstoppable in the mid lane, though. Luxion is now the one who's getting dove, and this looks a lot more successful than the top side. In fact, it will be. The kill is given over, and this mid turret is in a heck of a lot of trouble now. Aatrox is showing up to try to take down the Ezreal, but with the Arcane Shift, he can get away as well. And Kayer doesn't even get the top lane. He had to send both of his tanky members to take this mid back. But at the very least, they don't lose their mid tower, so both mid firsts still up. This is huge for map control, obviously, for both teams. If either one of these goes down, the team that takes it first will have an advantage, of course. So they really, really don't want to lose this. The Rift Herald, though, you take a look at their control on the map right now, they should absolutely be able to take it. But Kayer, the only thing he's going to take is an early trip into the grave, shut down by the Vladimir, soloed in the 1 versus 2, and I like Pi. He's not done quite yet. Elcan, what can he do but just smack him, right? He's a Sejuani. They know that there are multiple members coming up at this point, and they just have to back off. Giving away the Ashe for free means they do also give up this Rift Herald, and that objective we talked about for so long was so important for both teams to be able to gain a foothold in this mid lane. It looks like it will be going over. No! It despawned! It despawned right before they acquired it, and oh no, it didn't. Nunu actually has it. We're good. We're good. They did get the Rift Herald right before it actually despawned. Super, super important to pick that up, and with no time remaining, I have to hazard a guess that they didn't think that it would be possible to take that Rift Herald before it actually despawned. So that's why they backed off, right? They didn't consider it, oh, you know, going for the Smite steal, going for the contest. If Elcan had, maybe he could have stalled out the extra second or two it needed to despawn, and then they wouldn't be facing a Rift if they ever mess up a fight. SBU, down 5 kills, up 500 gold. And that's largely attributed to this CS, right? 40 in the top lane, 40 in the mid lane, jungle another 10. I mean, you look everywhere you can. It's all CS advantages. 5 kills on this Ashe, you have to expect she's up gold on the Ezreal. But Ezreal still has a kill reward, right? 550 gold on him. If he goes down, not only is that Ashe, does she not have a kill reward, right? But for a 1 kill Ezreal to go die once, and then you have, 550 gold bounty going over, that's still something you have to worry about, right? The bounties are starting to build up on quite a few members, the Sejuani, that Kled as well, so we're going to have to see who actually drops in this next fight, and who starts the next fight, most importantly, right? If the Vladimir's in the side lane, that's a huge part of the damage so far for SBU. If they don't have him, they really don't want to fight. So we'll have to see where they actually position, because if they do find themselves a little bit you know, out of line, caught, maybe even, be devastating. Vlad's made his way back to the mid lane though. They've corrected that, and they're gonna try to contest for the next Drake. 10 seconds there, but the engage comes out. A big ultimate chain onto I Like Pie ensures his demise. He will go down. The shield keeps the Ezreal alive though, and this SBU squad, now without their prime mid laner, is going to have to try to contest a dragon, the Infernal Drake, in fact, the third Drake for the side of University of North Texas. If they let this go over, they're going to be down so much gold in that late game, right? The Elder Dragon is going to become so much more potent, so as it goes down, right, no contest given, they are still up gold. But the hidden stats, right? The hidden stats from that mountain, from that infernal, from that cloud, those are all starting to build up. And as we go further and further into this game, if more dragons are seeded, SBU might be, you know, prematurely giving too many objectives over. It is really hard to contest, though, when you're down a member, especially when it's one of your prime 2 carries. So I do see the reasoning, but it is an SBU squad that is depending very heavily on their farm to keep themselves in this game. The problem is they haven't been able to find a fight that's gone in their favor for quite some time, so we'll have to see where they actually are able to do that. Around the Baron, of course, prime material. When you have that Nunu, you can smite consume, 1700 HP, goes down instantly, right? So if the Nunu is there, if they have a fight, they're absolutely willing to contest the 50-50s, because 50-50, it's not really the CC lands, but he doesn't know that it's displacement CC you need. He should have flashed and hooked. The Rift Herald still goes down, and now it's going to start its onslaught onto the mid turret. Already dispatched it. That is the first and last outer that they needed to take with this. In fact, they've gotten it for themselves. Aatrox back from bot lane. With no minions there, he doesn't really have to worry, but still a very good pickup. Again, the second turret that they've brought down, but it's a very important one. Use the Rift Herald, it's about to expire. Of course, you need to do something with it, but they got mid lane. That's a huge thing. Sorry about that, guys. Catching my breath again. It's been a little bit of a longer game so far for a solo cast, but we'll see where this actually pans out. The side lane split push still going on. We remember what happened last time when the Ashe was up top. She actually went down to the Vladimir. If that happens again, the Ashe is gone, right, on the 5 kills. Their prime carry. We talked about prime carries, right? Vladimir's the most fed one. Ashe is the most fed one on their team. If, you know, SBU can pick off, right, UNT's biggest damage threat as of this moment, stall, you know, the scale, the Ezreal scale is a little bit quicker, especially with the, you know, Muramana fully stacked up. You'd have to imagine that the side of SBU are feeling pretty good about their mid game, but the question is, when do they actually turn it on, right? Because they could say, okay, we're going to, you know, spend a little bit more time in this mid lane, try to defend our turret. As soon as they overextend for it, go for that, right? That's a very, very easy go button. But it's not the only one, as we see in this bottom lane. The 1v1 certainly cracking up to be a good fight there, but actually forcing the flash out of the Nunu. And again, this Ashe is completely on the run, but on the run into a Vladimir, not where you want to be, and not where the side of UNT wants to be at all. With 2 members already down, they're going to drop a third, and this is just a complete destruction of UNT. The Baron, not just on the table, it's the main course. Snowball, run it in, get the Baron buff. 25 minutes in, you have to think that this is going to be SBU's Baron. They're going to get at least an inhibitor off of it if they want to make this Baron worthwhile, though, right? You can't just take Baron buff. Taking it is not enough. You need to take Baron buff, and after taking Baron buff, you need to get a minimum of an inhibitor buff, right? The thing Baron's supposed to do is it's supposed to open up the potential. Stolen away! How can that happen? How can that be? It's a Nunu, for God's sakes. It has a double smite, and still the buff gets taken. Still Luxion is the hero that UNT needed in this game. The turret goes down bottom lane with the additional minion pressure. That's the second bottom tier turret. And now the Nunu could find himself in a little bit of a pickle. He's going to get brought down. There's going to be a little bit more time onto this turret's life, but nothing past that. In fact, UNT, from an unwinnable situation, it seems like they're going to lose everything. They have everything to gain now. The Baron's in their favor. They have the damage. They have that siege that they've been missing so desperately in this game because of those minions. And SBU, I mean, how did they clear this, right? Did they clear it with Ezreal? They can't clear it with Vlad very easily. It's certainly not going to work. The Kled's going to help a little bit, but they've got a lot to clear and no crit AD. It's a very, very difficult scenario. They have to wait this out. Another dragon spawned in that side, so they will get one Drake to their name. Not every Drake will be going over. Infernal is going to be the next one up. So 4 dragons potentially for the side of UNT, and only 2 total for the Elder comes if you are on SBU. So SBU now having to defend their top turret to Baron empowered minions. We saw this before, and it's so difficult when you can't actually get to that last one in line. It makes it so hard, but the Nunu Consume, if you're allowed to get to it, makes the minions just vanish, right? So at least the cannons don't exist for very long. They didn't have too many members there. They didn't have their Lux, and their Aatrox wasn't really in prime position. So they back off, reset. Now UNT are probably going to look for a mid tier 2 while the Aatrox pressures top lane. If they can do that, get themselves a kill, potentially, turret much more likely of course, then they're going to be in a fantastic spot. But that Baron buff should be expiring relatively soon. And once it goes down, they're going to be back to a very hard to siege scenario, right? The Vladimir, the Karma, they all contribute to making this a very difficult anywhere to take, right? Turrets in general are super, super hard to bring down when you have to contend with that much AoE burst. Waves aside, Nautilus still has Baron buff for a little while longer. He might bring it into this bottom lane, but doesn't matter. Oh, it looks like the Baron buff has about 15-20 seconds left. The Vladimir slightly caught, pulls away immediately, doesn't have that up now. If they are going to fire an ultimate, expect it to be targeted towards him. He has been such a priority pick for the side of UNT. If they have gotten anything, it always goes on to either the Vlad or the Karma so far this game. They're going to look for a little bit more. The ultimate down, the chase as well. But can they find anything? The Vladimir, great Zanya's onto 1, but he is not healthy, and that Lux is going to make him even unhealthier living, though. That's the important thing. If you have any health remaining, you're still giving it your all, and you're able to answer back as KKGB does so right there. He finds himself a first kill. They find themselves a second. Vet Dude is going to drop. What was he doing in the backline? He already popped his ultimate. He's going to go down before it even matters. After it matters, in fact. The Ashe drops as well. And this is just going to be a complete victory for the side of SBU. They have 4 kills to the 2 that we saw from UNT, and as soon as that Baron buff fades, the go button's just called. They send the Vladimir in. He does exactly what he needs to. The Ezreal racks up a bunch of tree damage, and they can just keep chasing. The team's so good at chasing with the Nunu, with the Kled. They can do it all day long, especially with that Karma shield as well. It's so easy to do, and they're executing pretty cleanly as well. Pi taking an ultimate, not taking much more, and so they're going to step back a bit. SBU try to recenter, because the next Drake that comes up is not actually Elder. It is that Infernal. As soon as it is on the table, Baron will have been on the table for 20 seconds. So we'll have to see where the priority lies for UNT, right? If they want that dragon, if they think that the Elder is their key to victory, their ticket to ride. If they think the Baron matters more, right? They need that siege. They desperately want to win, get those objectives. Obviously, Baron matters a ton. You don't want to give that up. But what do you go for first? I'm thinking you always go for the dragon first. You try to get some flashes, maybe an engage off the Nunu. A pick onto him would be absolutely divine. If they can't, no harm, no foul. You pick up another Drake. That's 4 for your team before the Elder even spawns. That's still a great play. No wards from either team in that Baron pit. 30 seconds to go, 0 wards in the pit. We'll have to see who gets picked first. It looks like it's going to be the Kled, but Vladimir responds instantly by flashing into this team, and this is just a repeat of last fight. University of North Texas, they just aren't tanky enough to deal with this so far. Kayer's going to go down. The vet dude, he might have damage, but he doesn't have a health bar. Best Rammus is unstoppable. SBU only lose their support, and Luxion, nowhere to be found in this fight, has nothing she can do about this. If they can pick, maybe they can pick the Baron again, right? The second steal in a row. This would be insanity if it happened twice in one game. But first you have to know that it's happening. Luxion, completely blissfully unaware that this is being taken. The big worm is going to go down in a shroud of silence. Oh, blue ward up. They do smite it. Ult comes in. It's actually secured. That was so close to SBU losing another Baron. They really didn't want to be in that scenario again. In fact, they are not now. They have the Baron buff. What they couldn't do last time, they might be able to do now. They're going to look to close out the game as soon as they back off and probably take this Drake. I'd expect them to go for the Infernal here. I'd expect to contest as well. UNT, they have to know that those guys backed after that Baron, but they don't seem to want this Dragon. And that's very interesting, right? They've lost quite a few fights. Taking a fight when you know they're focused on objective, when you know that they're not full strength, might be the best idea, but really not wanting to contest. University of North Texas instead are going to stay out of that and just wait. Try to play this defense game. Waiting for that engage. Though they spot out one, they know the Aatrox is over the wall. He doesn't know they know that he's there, though. To his lack of knowledge, it cost him a little bit. He does get picked. Instead, stays alive for now. And SBU are very content to just shove in the waves, right? With the Baron empowered minions, with their extra siege, they are now feeling very confident in their ability to just push down waves, get the turret, hopefully crack open an inhibitor, something that they were absolutely not able to do with the Rift Herald, of course, but something that would be quite crucial to them actually being able to end this game. Taking another fight, obviously on the table as well, right? Last two went fantastically, they had great positioning, the Ezreal was quite far back, the Vladimir was always in the front, always absorbing so much damage and then regenning it, right? I think that was one of his biggest strengths, is that he can actually take all this damage, he does take it, and then he comes back full HP in the same fight. So being able to do that is very, very crucial, of course, and it's negated a lot of the actual kill potential on the side of UNT, you know? They only have a Lux and an Ashe right now. The Aatrox, as much as he's trying, doesn't seem to be getting anything actually done in these fights. And Lux and Ashe is not enough to kill, right, the Vladimir, and then the Ezreal, and then the Kled. So much mobility, so much resistance, so much regen, and, you know, respawning, right? They've got GAs onto their Kled, and he's going to pop off twice. They've got Zhonya's on the Vladimir. So many ways to keep their members alive. How do you actually muster enough damage? You just really can't, right? With just the Ashe and the Lux, it doesn't seem possible. If you pick the Vlad, though, it's a really good start. They don't pick the Vlad, it's going to be alive. First turret will go down, first inhibitor turret, I should say, and the inhibitor shortly to follow thereafter. SBU are now going to rotate to that mid lane, do it again. As soon as they have two inhibitors, though, this game is going to look so, so dire. And I wonder, you know, can they actually come back from this? University of North Texas, they need a fight and they need it now. Well, they asked for a fight. Maybe this is the one. They do have the Nunu. He is low. He fails the flash as well. He channels his ultimate, goes down. This could be a perfect turnaround, but only if they can keep Kair alive, and that is not going to happen under the Kled's watch. Best Rammus, he makes it his mission, chases her down. It's a brilliant kill onto that, and then the shutdown comes in. As soon as the Vladimir falls, they know that this fight is definitely possible. Best Rammus okay. He's going to have to remount, though, and he does so barely inches away from getting his Guardian's Angel popped. He gets the kill onto the Aatrox as well, completely by Super Minion. The minion assisted death. Absolutely not what you want to see, but University of North Texas now have to contend with quite a large amount of damage, and super minions, and Baron empowered minions, and this is just becoming just too much for them to be able to clear right now. So Lux, as much damage as she does, it just doesn't seem to be enough. The Kled lives for forever. They do get 2 very important kills, but they didn't get anything else off it, right? With the Baron up, Ez and Karma were able to just take mid lane. The Kled was able to bait them for forever while they chased him. He didn't even get his GA popped either, so he still has GA for the next fight in addition to all of his inherent livability. And I gotta say, I mean, this is looking really, really desperate right now. 8k down. SBU, at one point they were down gold, they were up it for most of the game, then they went down, then they went up, you know, the roller coaster of success and failure, but they're certainly on that last hill right now. Question remains, are they going to finish on a high note, or is this going to be a turnaround, right? It's not hopeless for UNT. We saw that in the last fight. If they can pick the Vladimir, if they can kill the, Kled, most importantly, then they can absolutely do what they have to win this game. But until they get both of those members down at the same time, they really don't have a way to actually take anything. Elder Dragon, that's going to be secured as well. Baron still has 30 seconds on, and that Dragon's going to be dead well before then. Yeah, just 12 short seconds later, the Drake is dead, and they start running up towards Baron. It's SBU's game to lose now at this point with a 2-drag Elder, not the worst thing in the world. And there's the Kled ultimate charging in from the backside. They're trying to catch out Kair again. He is alive for now, but with the fight starting in earnest, he might not be alive for much longer. Best Grandma's okay. He's legendary and dispatches with Kair in one auto attack. Goes completely awry for the side of University of North Texas. That dude can't get over the wall, and the only thing left is for SBU to clean up the base and clean up this game number 1 of the best of 3. What a way to start a series. It's back and forth all the way down, but eventually they do pull it out. The fights have been close, but the game still goes in their favor. As soon as they take down this Nexus, it will all be sealed for game number 1. The Lux can't do much about it, and it will drop at 39 minutes. So close to 40 minutes, but I mean, what a way for University of North Texas to lose a game. What a way for SBU to win a game, more importantly, right? They lose the Baron steal. It all looks like it's falling apart. That University of North Texas is coming back. They have so many chances, then you just think, it's so close, right? So close to being that way. But yeah, that's sometimes that's just the way it all works out. You know, they don't think it'd be like it is, but it indeed do.
touch won't be enough. Oh, in the world of Eden. Oh, in the world of Eden. We're lost in temptation, as sweet as you can taste it. Beautiful danger, just a touch won't be
find you in a better place. Unexpectedly, 'cause you taught me to grieve, and now I'm missing a part of me. But now you're gone, and here I am. I've got this feeling you'll be there when I land. I'll pack my things and leave my fears under the stratosphere. I'll be in outer space. If you need me, I'll be searching for your pretty face. You'll be my captain and I'll be your first mate.
Welcome back, everyone. If you were with us last game, you saw quite a good victory. SBU pulled it out in the end. If you didn't, I would advise you highly to go back and take a look at that, because it was a game to watch for some pretty good stuff, I would say, right? It was quite interesting in terms of, how teams actually managed to come back, right? That was, I think, the greatest example of that, right? One Baron steal, you think the game turned on its head, it just turned it even. And then all of a sudden SBU turns up again and gets themselves a first game victory, right? And now we have to see what changes in the draft phase. I would say the Vladimir is not going to be left. There's just no way they're going to let them play Vlad a second time in a row. Based on how good that was doing for I Like Pie, The Vlad was super strong. It just seemed unkillable, especially when there's no Zoe. If there is a Vlad, I would say if you're leaving it through, you have to be first picking Zoe then, right? You have to be first picking Zoe. You have to be saying, okay, here's our pick. We dare you to beat it, right? There are Zoe counters, of course. There's the Cassidy. There's some people swear by things like the Blanc. I'm not a huge fan of it, but you can beat Zoe in certain ways, but I like this a bit more, right? Ban the Vlad out. You can pick the Zoe still, right? You can still select that if you really want. The Ezreal's on the table as well. Another pick that was super, super difficult to deal with. All these options and more available for University of North Texas. We'll have to see what they go with. They're going to go with the Sejuani. I do like this a lot more than the Nunu. But that's not to say that the Nunu didn't do quite well, right? It was sort of what they needed. It didn't exactly counter the Sejuani. In fact, it lost a little bit to it early. But I'd much rather see, an aggressive jungler off Karud, right? Especially with the Vayne, you need to compensate somehow for her lacking early game, for her lacking a way to actually pressure the lane out. Janna is one of those ways, You can easily play Janna and say, okay, sure, our AD doesn't do much, but Janna already wins lane anyway, right? We don't need to worry about that. Nautilus selected again for Rainy, and the Jinx is locked in against the Vayne, outranging it now, definitely, by a factor of like 4, especially with the empowered rocket autos. Alawi selected for the top lane, already locked in. Best Rammus is just... he's inviting the counter. Question is, what will the counter be? They have a chance to ban a couple things out. I think, realistically, yeah, banning out the Zoe. I think that the Zoe selection, right, first round, especially when you have, the Nautilus, and you're going to get counterpicked in the mid lane anyway, I would just pick up the Zoe. You don't need the Nautilus. You can get other supports. You can do other things with the Jinx and still make it viable. But the Zoe is so important, I think. Zoe's such a good champion at just winning you the game. So to not have the Zoe, not have the Lux either, super, super bad. And it means that now the mid lane pool for Luxion is going to be tested, if not completely split wide open in this game number 2. Now we just wait. What comes next? This is the hard part, right? It's saying, what can you actually pick? It's gonna make this fine. Are you gonna pick, the Zilean? Okay, that's certainly a way to get your Vayne back into this game. It accelerates the Alawi into fights, makes both of them nigh unkillable with the revive. Counterpicked by LeBlanc. That's interesting, because Zilean is really good against champs that one-shot him, because he can't get one-shot. So then the question is, do you have enough follow-up damage after you kill him to finish him off a second time? I'm not sure that's the case for a LeBlanc, and with the Kennen selected against the Alawi, that's certainly a good matchup for Kennen, at least in the early game. But after a certain point, right, the Alawi just wins, The problem isn't Alawi winning lane, right? You don't need to worry about that. Alawi doesn't just win lane most of the time unless you egregiously misstep. The problem is, what does Kennen do later in the game, right? He's not like a Kale, where he just infinitely scales up on attack speed and can just bully the Alawi out permanently. He's not like a Vayne, where he can do the same thing. The Vayne's in the bot lane instead, of the same team as the Alawi. So we'll have to see how VetDude plays this. I think this is going to be a very difficult top lane for him probably post like 10 or 11, because after a certain point, the problem is Alawi doesn't die. So she doesn't die, and then she dies again, right? She dies again at like 30, 35-ish minutes, somewhere in there depending on your damage. She starts melting again, but for that, 15 to 20 minute window, she's absolutely invincible. So we'll have to see which one of these sides actually made the right choice. A lot of these lanes call them like a 50-50 right now, but once we load into game, we should see how it all pans out. As we load in, taking a look, I can't call it yet. It's too difficult, right? This is a very, very difficult game to call just from draft phase, and then we're gonna have to see the execution, because obviously there is quite a bit of an option in terms of execution, right? If the Alawi gets hard bullied out, Ken's going to be unstoppable. If the Zilean gets popped, he's going to be useless. If the Vayne gets shut down, this isn't going to matter. But those are all ifs, right? The one thing that's not an if, Zilean spotted them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They know that these guys are in the bush. Inya, doing a little bit of a dance, making a little noise, and forces the side of University of North Texas to really get down, let their Kennen get away from them. But again, yeah, this is a really tough game to call. Can't really predict what's going to happen here. It's all going to be about the junglers, individual lane play, and probably some kind of an upset, right? We saw that last game, Baron Steel and Sununu, things that just shouldn't happen. You should never expect them to happen, and yet they do. So we'll see where it all comes together for both of these two teams. I'm expecting University of North Texas obviously to scale much better into the super late game, but the mid game is definitely a much closer scenario, right? Luxion playing that pretty okay, in that early phases. He has the Corrupting Potion to heal up as well, so going to have a little bit more HP than the Zilean in the long term. Bomb lands this time, though. And that means that the Zilean is still getting the better of the traits, especially at level 1. He has a much better trading window than Luxion does. Luxion has to get that W to get the wave clear, to get the wave shoving. If you don't, you know, obviously the wave is not going to be in your favor. You're going to take way too much minion damage, then you really can't fight, especially for a champion that wants to burst early game. That's just not acceptable. So you have to start the W, which means the Zillion is always going to get the better of you level 1. There's that 2. Electrocute proccing as well. Now, I like Pi is going to have to be pretty careful, right? He only has a cleanse. That stops the ignite, sure. But that's it, right? Trade damage in the bot lane, though. Speaking of being careful, I mean, this Vayne, right? Just taking that 1, 2, 3 punch as press the attack. It does what press the attack does. It rips the Nautilus in half, and he no longer has a health bar to play with. Has to use a bunch of potions to get back up healthy. Once he does, though, they're going to look for another engage, because that was off of the fact that Nautilus wanted to pressure for an engage. If he had gotten the engage onto the Vayne, I think that it would have been a much different story, obviously. So definitely a little bit of an expected time for UNT, right? They picked stronger lanes. They thought they were, you know, down CS. They noticed that. Zillion forced to flash probably here. Cleanse, ignite, first blood secured. What a play by Luxion to force it in. Know that the flash was already down. Had the cleanse as well, but before the ignite even was used. So then the ignite full damage just kept ticking down. He dies to the auto attack, and that's a great start for LeBlanc, right? We mentioned LeBlanc needs to have, you know, something going her way in order to be a really good champ in this game. That's certainly something. Need more kills like that, though. And it was off a pretty good roam, right? Elcan, he made a name for himself on the Sejuani last time. He's doing pretty okay at, you know, getting the clear off, getting his rotation done, and then making the game, you know, work for him. But I'd expect a little bit more soon from the top lane. The mid lane, still even in CS as well. I mean, after that wave falls down, we're going to see like a 2 CS deficit or something. Nothing, absolutely nothing major. And with both mid laners having, you know, minion dematerializer, hard shoving isn't going to work super well. So, going to have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages of taking the same keystone, or same rune, I should say. Mastery? Whatever they're called. Mastery. Let's go with Mastery. Same Mastery as your opposing laner. I mean, at least it means you're not at push disadvantage, because both of these champions have a little bit of a difficult time shoving out waves, you know? The LeBlanc has to get melee range, the Zillion has to use his full combo. It's not super easy, so having that bit of extra push, both of them want it, so forced to take it, and that means no free stopwatches here. Let's put it that way. Hook should land. Yeah, it does onto the Janna. Zap, though, blocked by the minion. If that had landed as well, it would be a great trade. Instead, it's just a pretty good one. You know, basically free for the Nautilus. No way to respond. The Vayne maybe could have pinned him into the wall and then tried to go on him, but this is a very, very dangerous spot. The flash had to be used. That's Inya out of there before it even happens. Heal from the Vayne. 2 summoners for 1. It's a good trade for the side of UNT, and a very far cry from the last time they were down bot. You know, they were struggling, they were getting shoved in. This time, they're the ones with the power, they're the ones with the control on the lane, and it's looking much more like they're comfortable in this current game. Damage to the Zillion, again pressuring forwards. There's not much he can do against LeBlanc, right? He can slow the LeBlanc and then try to bomb her as she comes back out of the W, but then what if she doesn't recall, right? Or you throw one at each location, but then she just walks sideways out of one of them, doesn't take the damage, and continues to combo you. It's a really difficult time. With Ultimate, though, at the very least he can bait for his jungler, but the Kayn doesn't seem to want to actually fight. If he takes too early an engagement, he could absolutely lose this CS lead that he's cultivated. Dragon, though, squarely in the sights and in the hands of UNT. Again, the early drag pressure started by them. We'd have to expect it, right, after the last time they played, that the Dragons would be a huge focus of theirs. They were in the first game because it's just the easiest neutral objective to take, right? It's the only neutral objective to take for quite some time, actually. Ultimate use, Vet Dude, low, very low, in fact. He's below 150 HP, but Unless there's somebody here to follow it up, it doesn't matter, and there is. Flash used Vet Dude, might get out in fact. He's being followed, but the LeBlanc has to come up to protect him. I don't know if she realizes where this cannon is. She does, but the Zillion's nowhere to be seen. The cannon gets out. Down 18 CS though, in a matchup he should be winning. Super, super unfortunate, I guess I would say, because it's not strange for the Alawi to be up CS, especially when you get an ultimate like that and you have the early Sheen. You just do a ton of damage. And with her having the Kleptomancy, obviously, the E-pulls proc your auto attacks onto the clone. So you get free Kleptomancy stacks as you're dealing damage to their clone. You can reset it with your W. It's a pretty easy path for her to get a bunch of bonus gold. Top lane, though, seems to be the only lane in which there is an advantage for the side of SBU. Unlike the last game, the CS advantages are now in the favor of UNT, except for, again, that top lane, a little bit of the jungle. And that means that, you know, SBU are going to have to work a bit harder, right? We saw them keep themselves in the gold lead last time just by CS and sheer will alone. They can't do that now. They have to actually, you know, pressure, make macro decisions early, get that mid-game lead, try to close it out before the Jinx becomes super 6-item and online. Because at that point, I mean, Zillion gets 2-shot, Janna gets 2-shot, you're down, you know, both supports. What are you going to do, right? Slow is used. That's about to fall off. In fact, it does. He's going to die from that. Used that ultimate way too early, and Luxion plays him like a fiddle. Well done by the LeBlanc, and making up, I would say, for the last game, as it were. You know, really not wanting a repeat of that Vladimir. He gets a very good matchup with the LeBlanc. It's, you know, hardly anything the Zillion can do to counter it right now, but at least one plate's going to go down because of it. And if one plate goes down, it's not the worst. E lands after the Q through the waves. Still more damage. Best Ram is pressuring so hard in this early game. Vayne not finding much in the bottom side. The Janna doing what she can to keep the Vayne healthy. I mean, no deaths have been had, but, you know, still down CS just because of the way that this pushes out, right? It's a Vayne versus a Jinx. Jinx has innumerable amounts of long range and damage, and speaking of long range and damage, the Kennen using his range advantage to bully back big Best Rammus, and maybe, just maybe, they'll get kills in both sides, but in fact the heal up comes. Best Rammus baits in Elcan, and everyone who thinks they've got the gank onto an Alawi knows that feeling. The 1 versus 2 comes out. It's a great kill. Best Rammus extending his gold lead even further now, up 40 CS in a kill in that top lane. Not even close in terms of, you know, the laning, right? Last time it was pretty evenly balanced, I would say, but this time it's just Alawi, right? People think that the Kennen is a really good counter. The problem is you have to know exactly what the Alawi ranges are. You have to play around them very precisely. If you mess up slightly, she takes half your health or more, right? We've been seeing that in the trades so far. It's, you stand too long, get 1 E pulled, you lose half your HP. That happens 2 times, you die. And the Kennen has actually not died so far, but because he has not died, he has backed quite frequently, and he has had to play quite far back off the minion wave, which means he doesn't get a bunch of CS for free. So that contributes to why he's down so much CS at this point. That being said, still a slight gold lead, but this time it swung back in SBU's favor. That kill was enough to turn it on its head. The CS advantage still in their favor, only in the top lane. And then they've evened it up everywhere else. The jungle's starting to be in their favor more as well. They've got themselves like a 20 CS comfortable difference there. And that's pretty interesting, I would say, right? The Kayn obviously clears much better, but we haven't seen him on the map at all. He has not been present, he has not been ganking, he's not been doing much of anything. So when the Kayn is not present on the map, not making plays, essentially this is all Sejuani's map to play for. The fact that she hasn't actually gotten her team a substantial lead might be a little bit worrying, because the Kane hasn't done anything for his team. He's just let the lanes play out and had faith that they're going to do, you know, okay or acceptably. So the Sejuani has gotten these Drakes, you know, 2 Drakes, certainly nothing to scoff at, but the CS lead firmly now, the gold lead firmly in the hands of SBU. The CS lead starting to shift in their favor as well, and if they get the Rift Herald off this, it's going to be the biggest neutral that they could possibly get. They could actually take the second tier turret in the top lane. The Kennen would have no method of stopping that at this point, and that might just be enough to, you know, get themselves that mid game that they want. Rift Herald goes down, secured by the Kane. But will they dive the turret? They're thinking about it. Rainy, he's taking so much damage on this front end though. That's just because the Vayne has the auto attacks and the ultimate for invisibility. Alive for now, but how much longer will that remain? They're charging in, they're focusing them down, and the one auto attack will be enough to bring it all back home. 2 kills for 0. And the turret should fall soon. The Alawi's here flashing in with that huge ultimate though, and that's a massive play from the side of Best Rammus. He's got it all to play for. He is the team right now. And as he jumps in 1 versus 4, he picks off 2 quick kills and continues the rampage.
Turret plating will soon fall.
Rift Herald summoned in the bottom lane. This will be a tower for sure. No way they can stop it with nobody here and a Rift Herald on it. It's just going to go down. That's going to be 5 plates. Maybe not. The Rift Herald does damage, but they have to get the plates relatively quickly. 15 seconds. They will do it, in fact. Just in time. That's going to be so much bonus gold. You look at it just racking up 2 full turrets with plates included to go. And that's a 2,500 gold lead because of it. That, the CS, the Alawi, give me great hopes for SBU. They get another charge under the turret as well. I can't believe it. UNT just kind of let the Rift Herald go, and it does what it does. It hits that tower in the bottom lane, lowers it to about half HP. And SBU, certainly now, feeling very confident about this game. The Alawi with the Triforce is very, very strong at this point. It's about the strongest she's ever going to get as soon as the Sterix is finished. That is the strongest she'll be in this game because of the Triforce style build. But, I mean, if you can win the mid game, right? Get just to a point where your Vayne comes online, then the game is still fine. You know, you still win it. You still do all those things, but for this to happen with no jungler assistance, in fact, while getting ganked by enemy junglers is, you know, UNT's worst nightmare. They rotate their bot lane up to match the bot lane of SBU. And remember, this is a winning lane for them. They have the Jinx, they have the pressure. This is all in their favor. So is this fight, in fact. If they can isolate the Kane far enough, it would be fantastic. They can't do so. The knockup lasts for basically forever. But with KK already down, they don't really have a chance to respond. No damage left, to say the least. Inya, if he were to eat a rocket, he would actually die. The Brute lands on the 1. Pressure him from behind. Luxion still chasing in. The Janna low. Not as low as Ted, though, and that is going to be the case now. Just waiting for that Zillion ultimate to fall off. They do so brilliantly. The Alawi's in bot lane, though, and she's going to dive this turret. Absolutely going to kill the Kennen, probably. Yep, there's the last hit. Oh, didn't finish him off. He's alive for now. Teleporting out. Will he make it? The minions are hitting him. He gets out. With sub 50 HP remaining to his name, he does get out though. The kills are starting to stack up in the favor of UNT though, and they actually did manage quite a good play in the top lane. We mentioned how much this Jinx has an advantage over the Vayne. That was highlighted right there, right? It's range, it's damage. The Vayne only has 1 item, the Jinx only has 1 item, but a lucky crit does a lot more than the, you know, regular auto attacks from a board. So, lucky crits aside, SBU certainly still have a hill to climb. They need the Alawi to not just be pressuring, but winning them fights. They can't have it both ways. The Kennen's always going to be split pushing. He's going to draw the Alawi into the side lane. If he actually manages to stay alive, I think that UNT are going to be well set up to win this game, of course. And it just matters about where they actually put their pressure. They have 2 turrets down in the bottom lane, 1 down in the top lane. They've taken a mid-inner, a mid-outer, and a top-outer. So their advantage is they have better priority around mid. They can retreat very easily to that turret, and they can invade very easily around the enemy's mid. So the dragon should be the first thing on their priority list. They've already started to check it a little bit, shoving the mid wave, try to get the, somebody back to actually handle this. And as soon as they do so, they look for a pick, flash, cleanse, both used by the Zilean, instant response by him. He's going to be a little bit safer for now, but the dragon is safely in the arms of SBU. Gold still in their favor as well. And they're just waiting. They're just waiting for the next time they get an advantage. And they're going to absolutely try to take one of these fights. They have an Alawi with a massive lead. That last item coming out right now, most likely going to be Death Stance. That's a pretty standard build on the Alawi. Triforce, little bit off standard. If you're winning super early though, it can be excused. So we have to see where exactly the lead comes from. Missing the E. Echo. It's a good thing to dodge out, right? If Luxion got hit by that, I mean, you could be looking at missing half HP, 2/3 HP, hit by one of the Ws directly on your body, you die, because then the clone actually echoes more damage than more health than you have left back to your body, especially at level 5. Setting up for non-existent drag take. Shoving out the waves still. Oh, dive onto the Jinx, flashing out from the knockup of Kayn, scaring them completely away, missing the root as well. This Alawi can flash up, can absolutely take the fight, turn it on its head, but she has to go soon. Zilean ultimate has been used. They're going to bring down the Kayn while he's still ulted most likely, or not. He flashes away, and they just have to get one more dash onto him. A great follow-up from Luxion will secure the kill. UNT, they get their first pick of the fight, but the Kennen has to defend against 2. He's not doing so well. The Zilean doing fantastically at clearing this, though. And it seems like they have no way to gain purchase in this game. They need to kill this Alawi. She has ultimate, she has flash. The Jinx is super vulnerable, especially with no turret to hide behind. So they get shoved back by 2 members versus the 4 that they had in the lane. Waiting for it. Shutdown already happened. I mean, this is kind of it, right? Speed up the Alawi, you get the kills that you need. Can't catch on as the Kennen, and instead, he's going to try and turn around for this Alawi. A long way to run for Best Rammus OK. He has an ultimate though, and he's going to fight instead of run. He's going for this as his last stand, but much like Custer, 2 will drop, or will he? Shutdown. They kill off Rainy. It's a pretty good set of kills, 3 for 1. Definitely what you want to see when you trade this. And the Baron buff 20 minutes in is going to be free as all day. This is such an early Baron, but there's nobody left to contest it. All of that time they spent in the bot side, all of that time they spent killing this Alawi, they have nothing left. No way to catch it out. And the Baron goes over. I mean, SBU, they trade kills, sure, but they got a positive kill trade, and they get the Baron, and they have the objectives. It's macro play to the extreme. They're just doing the right moves at the right time. It seems like they've got everything figured out. Chains are going to land. Zilean's going to get shut down for sure, but, getting shut down as a Zilean, I don't think they're too worried about it, right? Yeah, they lose a Baron buff, but their 2 most important members, the Vayne for the ranged autos and the Alawi for the rest of their team, they're up. So they can absolutely still take turrets. They're going to try to do so right now. forwards. Damage onto his clone. Something that people don't realize a lot of the time, if one tentacle spawns and you stand right under it after it autos, you don't actually have to move, right? The tentacle doesn't re-hit you. And it's not like the old passive where you had to kill a set number of tentacles for it to go away. It's just timed now. So, interestingly enough, after the first tentacle hits and just kind of lands and sits there, you can just leave it there. Stand right next to it, and no more tentacles will spawn because you're in extremely close proximity to that tentacle. And so you don't actually have to keep dodging them for the rest of her E duration after you walk out of it or get your clone destroyed or whatever it has to be. So, tip of the day. Gold so close between these two teams. Remember, if the Jinx hits 6 items, this game is over, but they might not wait for 6 items. In fact, they've already brought down the Kane. He's going to get resurrected from that Zillion. But with that, LeBlanc into the back lines. SBU, they're starting to drop low. They're not falling down, and that's the real problem. They only lose one member. It's Karud. He goes down. That's the first kill that we've seen in quite some time inside of UNT. They need more than just that one kill. They need to be able to bring down this. Oh man, look at that Alawi damage. Jinx has to be all the way out before it even matters. The LeBlanc, sure, she's close, but it's just no cigar at this point. They need so much more damage. And unfortunately for them, they're major damage dealers. The LeBlanc, she's doing all of her damage, right? She's getting the damage onto the right targets, but she can't burst 4 people at once yet. And the Jinx is only at 2 items. You need like 4 items to reasonably kill this team. 3, I think, is a bare minimum, and that's quite far off. So SBU are going to look to accelerate this game, so that Jinx doesn't get to that point. If she does, pretty much no way for them to win. The Alawi's too short range. She doesn't have a lot of entry tools beyond the flash, and the Jinx, even if you flash in on her, probably is still far enough away that you don't actually kill her with the first instant, W from your ultimate slap. If you don't kill her with that, you're never going to kill her. So they need to start ending this game relatively soon. I would say within the next 10 minutes at the very latest, if they don't want to lose. Just waiting for engage now. Which team will take it is the question, Is this... I have to think it's going to be SB, right? This is exactly their time to shine. They've got, so much gold, so much pressure. They've got a huge Alawi. You'd think that they'd be absolutely able to do so, but they haven't actually been able to engage. They've always taken the fights as they come, rather than really trying to force anything out. We'll see whether they actually decide to do so. Just waiting still. We're still waiting, right? The first engagement is going to spell it all out. Whoever gets that is going to be, I think, taking a pretty commanding, but maybe not finishing the game necessarily. There is still a pretty big base to go through. They have, second tiers, they've got inhibs. Alawi's in the bottom lane though, and there's no way Kennen can stop this. We've seen this multiple times before. It's just not... Oh, it's getting a little bit more plausible as time goes on, right? The Kennen has a couple items. He can clear the waves. He's not, any more CS down than he was at, 10 minutes. He's still within that 40 range, and 200 CS versus 230, it matters a lot less than it did back then. It still matters a lot. It's still a bunch of gold, but it's not like the 90 to 50 I'm going to lose every fight kind of bad. So in this sense, he's not just going to die, He can live for a little bit. He has some tankiness. He has some armor. He's got a Zanya's if he gets full engaged on. And that's all going to delay this Alawi push, right? We've seen it here. It's stalling out the timer. And with the Baron coming back up, this might be the only thing that they've been waiting for. 2k gold separates the two teams. This would be the second Baron for the side of SBU, but nobody to tank it for the Vayne. Baron has started. Sejuani is close enough to steal. If this comes push to shove, the cannon nowhere in sight. He has to teleport in, going to start it up right now, and they try to back off the Baron, but the hook lands onto the Alawi. She's going to look for the flash with the team, and she gets it, but she doesn't get anything else. Everyone else is out of the fight already, so she has to turn on to Rainy. This is now SBU, maybe going in a bit too far over their heads. They've already lost one member. They get one for their troubles, though. Kayer, he is so important to this fight, and he's already been dispatched with. That means that Rain is the only one left. SBU, they clean up the fight. They're going to clean up the second Baron of the game. And realistically, they should get an inhibitor off of this push. Because now they have the Baron, they've got the Alawi up, they've got the pressure, and they can win the fight. The Jinx is nowhere near the 6-item mark that you expect her to be solo winning the game at. So at this point, they still have time to keep forcing these fights. And remember, we mentioned that they are indeed on a timer. So it's good to see them taking the advantage of this. SBU definitely trying to end this game before they lose it all. Just waiting. Now they can push again. They have everybody backed. Everyone reset. And now, looks like they can probably take a little bit more in the bottom lane. This has been a big pain point over the last 5 or so minutes where the Alawi's been down here, not able to take objectives. And if they can just set their entire team down instead of just Alawi, the Kennen is going to have to swap to wherever the Alawi is, and with the Baron buff, he's not going to be able to clear the minions. This is a guaranteed. Wherever they go, if they want the 1-on-1 and then the 4-on-4, they're going to win both pushes. The Jinx is strong, not strong enough to clear all the Baron off minions though, especially with a bunch of members backing them up, a bunch of damage onto your turrets. When you're trying to clear those minions, it's not really that feasible, right? She needs a couple more items to do that, as we've been saying so far, and now they're going to start to hit the turret. Objectives are in their sights. They just can't actually really be stopped. You know, the crits are coming out, but can't reach out to that super minion. It continues to pound onto the turret, and the longer it stays and hits, the more vulnerable this base is. The first time that this inhibitor tower falls, you're going to expect to see everything go completely sideways. Because that's when the engage comes, right? You have the base, you have the, opening. You can start the fight, and now SBU are onto the first inhibitor of 3 to bring down. 30 minutes into this game, they're not looking like they're slowing down anytime soon, or are they? Healing back, reconsidering, and now going for a second inhibitor. I think this is a much safer call, of course. They have Baron for a couple more minutes, they have the time, they have the damage, and once they have double waves of supers, they can absolutely end at that point. Onto the turret. Vayne's not really hitting at this point. She goes in too far. The Sejuani liable to catch her with no QSS, has to rely on the McHales to get out of it, if and when that happens. Second inhibitor, dropping as well. 31 minutes in, we have to... SBU has to think very carefully about this. They have Baron up super minion. This could be the excellent time to end the game. They're going to go for it 31 minutes in. They actually might have the damage. They definitely have the damage to take down one of the towers, and it's so scary that nobody wants to go in to stop them. In fact, They're going to get the Sejuani for basically free. She has to flash out and away from this game, and now they pinned the Kennen. He doesn't have his ultimate. He doesn't have his HP. He's going to drop to that Jana Tornado, and this is all the end for the side of UNT. They're going to drop to the lower bracket. It's SBU all the way down as they take the Nexus in a 32-minute game. A lot cleaner than the first one, but still UNT fought tooth and nail for this series. They weren't able to clutch it out, but they do have a second chance in that lower bracket. Round of 32, I've got to say, has been delivering some excellent matches so far. And that's the 2-0. I mean, you came here for some good League of Legends. You certainly got it from both teams. UNT fighting, I think everything that they've done so far has been super difficult, right? It's been tough teams after tough teams. This was their toughest challenge yet. But hey, SBU, I mean, they did clean it up and they closed it out. They should be patting themselves on the back, advancing to the round of 16 completely undefeated since they went to the spring season. So congratulations to them. We're going to look forward to seeing them in the round of 16 and then maybe even the round of 8 as we get further into the tournament. But that will be doing it for us for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me at the CSL JV LoL cast. And this has been Collegiate Star League. If you want to stick around, we got some more CSGO action coming up for you right after this. But if you're just interested in League of Legends, hit a follow here or subscribe. We got more of that coming this Thursday, every Tuesday and Thursday until we get to our live finals, of course. That's going to be it for us for today, though. Thank you very much for joining me, and good night.